1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Piris and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says the SLBC was created to fulfill a need of this era and its ultimate goal is to accomplish the aspirations of the people. The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa stressed that the fame and the popularity of a party does not depend on the power of the government. The NBRO issues landslide early warnings to 8 districts. The Minister of Power assures there will be no power interruptions despite workers' protests. The national vaccination drive, spearheaded by members of the armed forces, continue to operate across all districts today. The revised dates for 2021 A-level, O-level and Grade 5 scholarship exams announced. The Court of Appeal rejects the writ application challenging the appointment of the Governor of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. International news, dozens of nations back pledge to slash methane emissions at COP26. Sports cricket, LPL 2021 player draft to be held on the 5th of November. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the SLBC was created to fulfill a need of this era and its ultimate goal is to accomplish the aspirations of the people. The President made this remark in a video message released on the occasion of the 5th anniversary ceremony of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna held at the Nelumpokuna Theatre on Tuesday. He said the vision of the SLBC is clear and therefore objectives are target-oriented, and the President also said that already an indelible role is being played in present in order to build a united, sovereign and prosperous nation. President Rajapaksa said the national policy framework Vistas of Prosperity for a people-centric economy was achieved through the party's determination and commitment. Meanwhile, President Rajapaksa held a cordial meeting with Indian Premier on the sidelines of the COP26 summit held in Glasgow. The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who spoke at the 5th anniversary celebrations of the SLBC, said the party needs to do better by its voters who are currently facing hard times. The Prime Minister stressed the fame and the popularity of a party does not depend on the power of the government. Speaking further, Prime Minister Rajapaksa said the SLBC always stands for harmony, which is its heritage that is acquired from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The Premier further stated that what matters in politics is the aim, not the size. He reiterated that those who stood with the SLBC at difficult junctures should not be forgotten and they go beyond mere supporters. He appealed to the alliance led by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna to remain united. The National Building Research Organisation has issued landslide warnings for a total of 8 districts: Badulla, Galle, Kaluthara, Kandy, Kegol, Matale, Nuwara and Ratnapura. Level 2 amber warning is effective in Badulla and Ratnapura districts for a period of 24 hours until 8 p.m. today. Badulla district, Alla and Passara, Ratnapura district, Ahaliyagoda. Since the rainfall within the past 24 hours has exceeded 100 millimeters, people living in the aforementioned areas have been urged to be on alert about the possibility of landslides, slope failures, rock falls, cutting failures and ground subsidence, and to evacuate to safe locations if the need arises. Further, Level 1 yellow warning for possible landslide has been issued for the following areas: Galle district, Nagoda, Nellore and Alpitiya, Kaluthara district, Bulat Sinhala, Kandy district, Gangawata Korale, Harispattuwa, Yatinuwara, Doluwa and Ganga Ihala Korale, Kagala district, Bulat Kohopitiya, Mavanella and Aranayaka, Matale district, Rattota, Nuwara district, Nuwara and Walapane. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre said 4 sluice gates, each of the Dadruoya and Upper Kotmale reservoirs, have been opened due to torrential rainfall in the catchment areas. They said the sudden increase in the water levels in the reservoirs prompted to open the sluice gates. Therefore, the DMC warns the people who are living in the downstream areas to be vigilant about sudden flooding. The national vaccination drive, spearheaded by members of the armed forces as recommended by the Ministry of Health, continue to operate across all districts today by providing the third dose or the booster dose to frontline health workers, including tri-servicemen, policemen, health and tourism sector personnel and other selected frontliners. Meanwhile, the epidemiology unit announced that the daily count of COVID-19 cases confirmed in Sri Lanka moved to 573 yesterday as 75 more people were tested positive for the virus. This brings the total number of confirmed cases of coronavirus reported in the country to 542,212. As many as 513,540 recoveries and 13,770 deaths have been confirmed in Sri Lanka since the outbreak of the pandemic. More than 14,900 active cases in total are currently under medical care, official figures showed. Moreover, 73,559 individuals were administered vaccine doses against COVID-19 yesterday. A total of 13,501,175 individuals have been fully vaccinated in Sri Lanka thus far. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
Continuing with more local news, the Court of Appeal today rejected the writ application challenging the appointment of Ajit Mewad Cabral as the Governor of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The writ application had been filed by former Southern Province Governor Ranjit Kirti Tennakoon, seeking a court order revoking the appointment and directing the Inspector General of Police to arrest Cabral and initiate investigations into the matter. When appeals court judges Sobhita Rajakaruna and Dhammika Ganepola took up the writ application this morning, the Attorney General put forward preliminary objections, pointing out that pursuant to Article 35 of the Constitution, a writ order cannot be issued to revoke the appointment as it was made by the incumbent head of state. After taking the submissions into consideration, the judge bench said it accepts the objections put forward by the Attorney General. Accordingly, the writ application was rejected without taking it up for hearing. The Supreme Court has set a date to hear the FR petition filed by Reverend Cyril Gamini requesting for an order to be issued preventing his arrest by the CID. Accordingly, the date to hear the FR petition has been set to 8th November. Father Cyril Gamini Fernando has filed a fundamental rights petition seeking an injunction order preventing him from being arrested by the police. The petition was filed before the Supreme Court. Last week, the Director of the State Intelligence Service, Major General Suresh Sali, filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department pertaining to the allegations made by Father Gamini and several other individuals during a webinar held on October 23rd to brief Sri Lankan community living overseas on the Easter Sunday attacks. Meanwhile, the fundamental rights petition filed by the Samiki Janabalvega before the Supreme Court against the transfer of shares of Yugadanavi LNG power plant in Kerala is scheduled to be taken up for hearing on the 12th of November. The new date was set when the petition was called before the three-judge bench comprising Justices Kumudani Wickramasinghe, Mahinda Samewardana and Murdu Fernando earlier today. The second consignment of 2.4 million litres of nano-nitrogen liquid fertilizer imported from India is due to arrive in Sri Lanka by air today. The Director General of the Ministry of Agriculture, Ajantha De Silva, stated that this fertilizer will be given to farmers who did not receive fertilizer from the first stock of nano-nitrogen liquid fertilizer. The Fertilizer Secretariat stated that the distribution of the first batch of nano-nitrogen liquid fertilizer bottles imported to Sri Lanka is currently in the final stages. Accordingly, the fertilizer bottles have been distributed to farmers in Ampara, Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa districts through agrarian service centres. The Minister of Power, Gamini Lokage, says the power supply will not be disconnected across the country within the day or in the next few days, despite the planned trade union action by some employees. Minister Lokage requested the public not to be deceived by false propaganda and disrupt day-to-day activities. He said a collective protest by trade unions is being held in opposition to the move to hand over shares of the Yugadhanami power plant to an American firm. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board, MMC Ferdinando, assured that there should be no undue fear of an emergency power outage and that immediate steps would be taken to rectify if power outage occurred due to natural disaster. The Ceylon Electricity Board earlier announced issuing a circular that all leave for the staff has been cancelled from today until further notice. And that ends local news for now.
Just as love and freedom are important to a child, so too is knowledge. Encouraging their pursuit of knowledge is our most important responsibility as parents.
Sri Lanka Insurance Minimuthu education plans ensure a secure future for your child with a higher education fund, comprehensive protection and a range of additional covers. Minimuthu education plans for children who dare to dream. Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
The government today announced the revised dates for the Grade 5 Scholarship, Advanced Level and Ordinary Level examinations for the year 2021. Thereby, the examinations will be held on the following dates. Grade 5 Scholarship Exam, January 22nd, 2022. GCE Advanced Level Exam from February 7 to March 5th, 2022. GCE Ordinary Level Exam from May 23rd, 2022 to June 1st, 2022. 6 months after the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, schools were fully reopened to the Grade 5 students on October 25th, 2021, and GCE Ordinary Level and Advanced Level classes of the schools are scheduled to be opened the schools from 8th of November, 2021.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
This is Watchlight.
The Railway Station Masters Association stated that the long-distance train service between Colombo Fort and Badulla will be delayed for several days due to the breakage of a bridge in the area between Gampala and Ulapane railway stations. Although the train service is in operation at present, trains have not been operated to Badulla thus far. It is expected that the train service between Colombo Fort and Badulla will resume once the bridge is repaired. The Station Masters Association stated that the prevailing weather conditions have also hampered the operation of trains on the Kandyan route.
Coming up, World News.
In the headlines, dozens of nations back pledge to slash methane emissions at COP26. The Democratic candidate becomes the second black mayor to be elected as New York City mayor. Facebook is pulling the pledge on the facial recognition system. World news in detail now. Dozens of countries have joined the United States and European Union pledge to cut emissions of methane by at least 30% this decade in one of the most significant climate commitments so far at COP26. The initiative, which experts say could have a powerful short-term effect on global warming, followed an announcement earlier on Tuesday in which more than 100 nations agreed to end deforestation by 2030. Former police captain Eric Adams cruised to victory to become the next mayor of New York as voters across the United States picked new city leaders from candidates defined mainly by their stance on police and crime. Adams, who will become second black mayor of the nation's largest city, first triumphs this summer in a crowded Democratic primary after striking stance on law enforcement issues. Facebook announced it is pulling the plug on its facial recognition system and will delete the face prints of over 1 billion users as the company tries to rebound from public relations crisis spawned by whistleblower revelations that it knew how harmful its products are but did not take meaningful steps to fix them. For years, activists and academics have raised concerns that algorithms and underpinning facial recognition programs are racially biased and can be used to target black and brown people, fuel inequality and exacerbate social injustice. Back to the headlines of the world news. Dozens of nations back pledge to slash methane emissions at COP26. The Democratic candidate becomes the second black mayor to be elected as New York City mayor. Facebook is pulling the plug on its facial recognition system. And that ends world news.
Development news.
The Cabinet has approved policy guidelines for the electricity industry, which is to be tabled in Parliament. The Government Information Department said that the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers was granted at a meeting held on 13 September 2021 to obtain 70% of electricity generation from renewable energy by the year 2030. Moreover, it was decided not to build new coal power generation plants in the future and to neutralize the net carbon emissions during power generation by the year 2050. It has also decided that the Ceylon Electricity Board should formulate the minimum cost long-term generation plan applicable to the period 2022 to 2041 as per the said guidelines. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers have now granted approval to the general policy guidelines for the electricity industry prepared subject to Section 5 of the Sri Lanka Electricity Act number 20 of 2009.
Moving on with sports news.
Cricket news. The player draft of the second edition of the Lanka Premier League 2021, Sri Lanka's topmost domestic T20 league, is scheduled to be held on Friday, 5th November 2021. A total of 600 players consisting of 300 overseas and 300 Sri Lankan players will feature in the upcoming draft, which will be held virtually with the participation of 5 franchise owners and the SLC officials. The draft will consist of 20 rounds covering several player categories such as local and overseas icon player, local and overseas diamond player, local and overseas gold player and local and overseas classic player. Whilst these will be local emerging and supplementary local rounds focusing on selecting Sri Lanka's young talent. The first round of the tournament will be played at the R. Premdasa Stadium in Colombo, whilst the final round will be held at MRICS Hambantota. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Air Astana will launch scheduled services between Almaty and Colombo, the commercial centre of Sri Lanka, on 3rd December 2021. The twice-weekly service will be operated by Airbus A321LR aircraft on Tuesday and Fridays. Departure from Almaty will be at 5:30 and arrival in Colombo at 11:30, with a return flight from Colombo departing at 12:30 and arriving back in Almaty at 19:40. Respective flight time is approximately 6 hours and 40 minutes.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Economic news. The Presidential Secretary P.B. Jayasundara says that Sri Lanka aims to make a significant reduction in country's runway fiscal deficit in 2022 and have a non-traditional budget. P.B. Jayasundara further said, according to his understanding, this year's budget is not going to be a traditional budget, instead a transformation budget. He noted that the budget will focus on increasing the country's revenue as a whole based on the President's vistas of prosperity and splendour.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
In the weather report, the Department of Meteorology in its weather forecast states that the low pressure area located around the island is moving away. However, atmospheric conditions are still favorable for the formation of evening thunder showers over the island. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places over the most parts of the island during the evening or at night. Showers or thunder showers may occur in the western, southern, northern provinces during the morning too. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern, central and north central provinces and in Galle and Matra districts. Sea areas. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the sea areas extending from Putlam to Portugal via Colombo, Galle, Hambantota. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the other sea areas around the island. And that was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
Back to the headlines of this news broadcast. The President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says the SLBC was created to fulfill a need of this era, and its ultimate goal is to accomplish the aspirations of the people. The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa stressed that the fame and the popularity of a party does not depend on the power of the government. The NBRO issues landslide early warnings to 8 districts. The Minister of Power assures there will be no power interruptions despite workers' protests. The national vaccination drive, spearheaded by members of the armed forces, continue to operate across all districts today. The revised dates for 2021 A-level, O-level and Grade 5 scholarship exams announced. The Court of Appeal rejects a writ application challenging the appointment of the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. International news, dozens of nations back pledge to slash methane emissions at COP26. Sports, cricket, LPL 2021 player draft to be held on the 5th of November. And with that, we end this news broadcast.